Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode of Total Extreme Wrestling WWE. We are into week 3 of April 2021. WrestleMania is behind us. We are full steam ahead into building up Backlash with another week jam-packed filled of action. And Raw gets underway with a contract signing. Drake Maverick in the ring. AJ Styles makes his way down to the ring, followed by Edge, the WWE champion of course. The two men go back and forth, as they have been the last couple of weeks, before signing the contract, when suddenly MVP's music hits and MVP and Angelo Dawkins begin to make their way to the ring, mics in hand. And they are not happy. They say that Dawkins was not pinned. Dawkins is the one that deserves the opportunity. Dawkins won at WrestleMania. AJ Styles is nothing but a loser who does not deserve this shot. And they get towards the ring, and Maverick's trying to tell him to go away, and Edge is distracted, and Edge turns around into a phenomenal forearm by AJ Styles, who proceeds to pick Edge up before hitting a Styles clash through the table. AJ Styles standing tall here over Edge, picks up the title and trying to just looks at it before raising it in the air above Edge's body. MVP and Angelo Dawkins laughing as they go back up the ramp. And that segment's gone 84. That's very good segment. Everyone seems to come out looking good. That's what you can hope for. And then next up, an interview segment. Shayna Baszler and Paul Heyman being interviewed, talking about, looking towards Asuka at Backlash. Also looking at their current issue, Dana Brooke, when Asuka and Dana Brooke walk past, and the four of them kind of go verbally back and forth when Paul Heyman says that him and his client Shayna have talked to Drake Maverick, and there will be a tag team match tonight. Asuka and Dana Brooke versus Shayna Baszler and a mystery partner of her choosing. And Asuka seems pretty pleased with this. Dana Brooke maybe a bit less so, but Asuka looks ready. She looks prepared for a 51. It's pretty good. Next up, Murphy vs Thatcher, the first of two Hardcore Championship semi-finals in the tournament tonight. And Timothy Thatcher gets the win with the Fujiwara armbar, 43. Thatcher with the 41, Murphy with 40. Pretty close in terms of in-ring. Thatcher off his game, sadly, but oh well, that's done pretty good. Thatcher, the first man advancing to Backlash. Will he be facing Strowman or RVD? We will find out later tonight. Next up is the tag team match, Shayna Baszler and a mystery partner versus Asuka and Dana. Asuka and Dana make their way down to the ring, followed by Shayna with Paul Heyman, and then Shayna reveals her mystery partner, Deonna Purrazzo, making her return to WWE. Signed her not long ago, and she's getting right into the thick of things here on Raw, teaming with Shayna Baszler tonight for 42. And in the end, the tag team match, Shayna and Deonna Purrazzo come out on top. Asuka and Deonna in the ring, kind of going back and forth. Asuka looks like she's got the upper hand. When out the corner eye, she notices Shayna Baszler pull Dana Brooke off the apron and begin choking her out on the outside. Asuka starts to rush, lets go of Deonna, starts to rush over to help her friend Dana, leans out of the rope when Deonna grabs her from behind and hits a German suplex, followed by bumping off the rope and hitting a knee to the face. Asuka very dazed at that point, followed up by Deonna Purrazzo rolling Asuka up for the 1-2-3 with a big debut win for Deonna Purrazzo and Shayna Baszler's team here. 48 rating. Asuka carrying the match with the 59, Shayna with 37, Deonna with a 35. Very good. Good start that for Deonna Purrazzo. Moving on, AJ Styles interviewed backstage. He's laughing. He's very confident right now. He got the upper hand over Edge, and he said it was just a small preview of what is to come in 2 weeks at Backlash. He says that Edge clearly has not been paying enough attention in the 10 years that he's been away, because if he had, then he'd know that the result at Backlash is inevitable, with AJ Styles, the phenomenal one, reclaiming his WWE gold. 53. And the next up, Seth Rollins, as he has been doing, performs another sermon per se about how sick and tired of people ignoring him, and he is once again, he's going to do what he always does, has done week in, week out. He's going to show that he is the guy around here. 78, very good as always, and then a 60 as Seth Rollins gets the win over Danny Burch. 75 for Rollins, 60 rated match. Seth has done very well there to get that out of Danny Burch. Seth Rollins, as usual for me, Seth Rollins maybe a bit too overconfident in his abilities, but getting a bit more offense than he might think, but in the end, the curb stomp from Seth Rollins is all it takes to get the win. Followed up by an interview, Drew McIntyre being interviewed about his match later tonight, the main event. Drew McIntyre versus The Fiend. Drew saying that his friend Sheamus, hurt by The Fiend last week, he's tried contacting him. Sheamus, obviously in the hospital, recovering at the moment. And Drew says he's going to get revenge for his friend tonight and take out The Fiend once and for all. Drew doing fantastically there. And then next we have the second Hardcore Championship semi-final, who will face Timothy Thatcher at Backlash for the Hardcore Championship. We will find out Braun Strowman versus RVD. And RVD gets the win. Braun Strowman, of course, the monster among men. Dominant until RVD gets the steel chair. He does the drop kick into the steel chair to Braun, knocking him onto the table, where he is met with a 5-star frog splash off the top rope by RVD to get the win and advance to Backlash, where it will be RVD versus Timothy Thatcher to crown an inaugural Hardcore Champion. Braun Strowman was 60, very good. RVD with a 45, 51 overall. Happy with that. Then after the match, Timothy Thatcher comes down, and him and RVD stare down for the 59. This should be a good hardcore match at Backlash. Then next we have the Chad Gable US Invitational for a 79. Chad Gable doing very well. Issuing the same old challenge. Who's going to come out and fight for the US title? And it is Angelo Dawkins. Obviously, distracted Edge played the part in that earlier, and now coming for the US title here. 79, of course, his mentor MVP lost to Chad Gable last week, but will Angelo Dawkins be any different? He is not in the end. Chad Gable getting the win thanks to a distraction by Edge. Angelo Dawkins looks like maybe, just maybe, he could pull this out of the bag. When you think you know me, Edge comes out onto the ramp. Angelo Dawkins gets distracted. MVP not happy, shouting, "What are you doing here?" to Edge. When Chad Gable rolls up Angelo Dawkins, MVP no time to react, as Chad Gable gets to 1, 2, 3 and retains his United States title for a 56. Chad Gable 77 in ring, very good for Chad as ever. Angelo Dawkins with a 53. Followed, we go to commercial, and then we come back. Angelo Dawkins MVP are not happy. They find Drake Maverick backstage. They are demanding that Drake Maverick do something about Edge after his actions, and Drake kind of laughs and says, "You know what? Edge came to me earlier and he said the same thing about you two during the contract signing, and he had a great suggestion that I loved, and so I set it up. Next week on Raw, Edge versus Angelo Dawkins 1v1. Angelo looking maybe a little bit nervous, a little unsure of himself. MVP spurking. He looks at Angelo and says, "Good, my boy here, he will deal with Edge next week." And Angelo kind of perking up then, maybe some faux confidence, maybe the confidence MVP is instilling in him, who knows, and says, "Yeah, I will," for a 60. And then finally, the main event, The Fiend making his way to the ring. Drew McIntyre already in there. The Fiend slowly coming down for a 76, as you'd expect. And then the big match itself, The Fiend versus Drew McIntyre. And it's kind of back and forth. The Fiend, he gets on top. He sets up Drew McIntyre for the Sister Abigail. When suddenly, out of nowhere, Sheamus with the bro kick to The Fiend, laying him out. The Fiend winning by disqualification. Drew McIntyre gets up and he's kind of like, "Sheamus, what are you doing here? What the hell was that?" And Sheamus says, I couldn't let that guy. I couldn't let him have that over me. I couldn't let him just get away with that." And Drew and Sheamus kind of shoving each other a bit, when out the corner of their eyes they kind of turn and they both notice The Fiend up into the crab walk position. When The Fiend kind of starts charging at him in the crab walk, and his lights go out. When they come back on, The Fiend's gone, and there's just laughter from playing throughout the speakers or whatever. And Drew and Sheamus look a bit confused. 70 for the match, 86 from the Fiend, 65 from Drew McIntyre, very, very good. And then the post-match with the 75, which was a good ending to the show, I think. Setting up for more between these three superstars, Drew, Sheamus, and the Fiend. Raw getting a 74 overall. Another good Raw. Rating-wise, the best show I've got at the moment, which is good. Somebody's got a lead. Hopefully the others can catch up. No popularity change. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Another good show, I would say. But that is it for Raw. Moving on now to NXT. Welcome to NXT. We're getting underway this week with the next match in the Cruiserweight Championship Tournament. Finn Balor versus Humberto Carrillo. And just like with last week, a little promo video plays for the two superstars going over their accomplishments. Humberto, pretty new to WWE, but just, give a little insight about him. Finn Balor, of course, former NXT champion, former Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic winner, I believe. Intercontinental champion, pretty sure. Universal champion, of course, the first one. In the tournament here for 55, the segment, and the match itself, it's a 57. It's pretty good. Finn Balor with the 1916 gets the victory, advances to the next round, where he'll meet the winner of the main event tonight, Rey Mysterio versus Kalisto. Finn Balor with a 71 in-ring performance, really carrying this match. Humberto with 37, which for him, pretty good. Much less popularity than Finn Balor. Finn Balor much better in ring, of course, as well, stat-wise. So Finn Balor getting the win here, come out looking really good with 57. Humberto, I would say this is good for Humberto, even with a loss, in the ring with Finn. That'll give him some shine. So I'm happy with that. Next, we go backstage. William Regal with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. And Raquel and Dakota, they say, they want another match tonight. They want to show how dominant they are again before the women's tag title match at NXT Takeover in Your House. When Regal says that's interesting, because I've had another couple ladies come in here asking me about having a match tonight. There they are. And in comes the women's tag team champions, Kairi Sane and Io Shirai and Dakota. And Raquel do not look impressed. And Regal says, I have one brilliant idea. Tonight it will be Dakota Kai versus Io Shirai 1-on-1. And Io looks happy with that. Dakota maybe a little bit less so. But it will be Dakota versus Io Shirai tonight, and the 63 for the segment, which is very good again. And then next up we have the Colognes, the returning Epico and Primo versus the Swords of Essex in their debut match here in NXT, and the Swords of Essex getting the win in a 49. Will Ospreay pinning Epico with the hidden blade. Will Ospreay head and shoulders above everyone else in terms of in-ring performance, to be expected, I suppose. But the Swords of Essex getting a big win here, their debut match as they prepare for the Cruiserweight Tag Team title match against the MVPs at TakeOver in Your House. Speaking of the MVPs though, after the match they come out, Cedric, Ricochet, MVP, all onto the ramp, and they start to make their way down, slowly taking off their suits. Swords of Essex distracted, and the Colognes hit dual backstabbers onto them from behind, allowing the MVPs to sneak into the ring and start attacking the Swords of Essex for 43 segment wise. Maybe a little temporary alliance there between the MVPs and the Colognes over a now maybe mutual enemy in the Cruiserweight Tag Team division. Then next up we have Cameron Grimes versus Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali looking for a bit of revenge from last week after Cameron Grimes took out Keith Lee after the match with the cave-in, and Cameron Grimes gets the win with the cave-in. 49 for the match. Cameron Grimes with a 50, Mustafa with a 40, so that's very good segment rating considering that. Cameron Grimes gets the win, keeps building up his momentum, and after the match he steps up, he's preparing for another cave-in when Keith Lee rushes to the ring to make the save from Mustafa Ali, and Cameron Grimes slides out for a 62. Cameron's like, nah, I'm good. Keith Lee's like, come on then, get in the ring. Cameron Grimes just jumps over the barricade and leaves. as we keep building up this Cameron Grimes and Keith Lee rivalry. Then there is another interview backstage between Sarah Schreiber and Mickie James for a 40. Same stuff, Mickie James boasting about herself, about her accomplishments, claiming herself as the one true undisputed NXT Women's Champion. That's pretty good. And then the match announced earlier, Dakota Kai versus Io Shirai next up, 1-on-1. 55, very good. Io Shirai with a 48, Dakota with a 42. Dakota Kai sadly off her game. Oh well, it's still a good segment rating, I would say. And Io Shirai picks up the win here against Dakota Kai with the moonsault. Kyrie and distracting Raquel a bit on the outside, stopping her from interfering. And after the match, Raquel slides into the ring and goes to attack Io Shirai, who ducks under her clothesline, jumps onto the rope and springboards into a dropkick on Raquel, knocking her down before sliding out the ring as her and Sane go up the ramp, celebrating victorious. Raquel and Dakota in the ring, not so happy for a 61 segment wise here. Then, just like last week, Aleister Black, a little promo video for Velveteen Dream players, going over his accomplishments in NXT. NXT North American Champion, one of the longest reigning, maybe second behind Keith Lee. And all his others, a lot of good matches he's had in-ring wise, rivalries, people like Aleister Black, Adam Cole. Words from William Regal talking about how Velveteen Dream is one of the things that NXT likes to look to and point to as a success of the Performance Center system. Obviously in Tough Enough, didn't win it, but signed by NXT still, going through the Performance Center, finding himself as the Velveteen Dream, and coming so far, and now a chance to become the NXT Championship number one contender again against Aleister Black at NXT Takeover in Your House for a 79. Velveteen Dream, very good without a script. In the match itself, Velveteen Dream versus Isaiah Swerve Scott, given another chance to impress after a good performance last week against El Hijo del Fantasma, and Velveteen Dream gets the win here with the Purple Rainmaker. 50 segment rating, both men getting a 47 in ring performance, so I would say that's done very well considering. Isaiah Swerve Scott continued to impress Velveteen Dream, getting the win. And after match, Velveteen Dream goes up the ramp, and out comes Aleister Black, and the two kind of square up at the top of the ramp. A bit of arguing, a bit of back and forth, and they get into a bit of a shoving contest and they have to be separated. The tension is reaching a pinnacle here between Aleister Black and Velveteen Dream in preparation for their contendership match. Both men, they're former tag team champs together, but both men want a shot at the NXT Championship 63. Then a promo video plays, once again hyping up the match between Karrion Kross and Angel Garza for the main NXT Championship in the main event of NXT Takeover in Your House for 74. And at the end, the commentators announce that there will be a contract signing next week between Karrion Kross and Angel Garza. Big news that, and got the crowd hotter, which is good right for the main event. A promo video plays for the main event, Rey Mysterio and Kalisto, going over both their accomplishments. Two very impressive masked luchadors, these two. Kalisto, former United States champion, I believe, and Rey Mysterio, of course, former world champion, former WWE champion, cruiserweight champion, Intercontinental champion. He's done it all, and he wants the cruiserweight title here again in NXT for a 65. And the match itself also gets a 65. Rey Mysterio getting the win, 619, the West Coast Pop. Rey Mysterio advancing into the semi-finals with a 79 ring performance. Sadly, both men off their game a bit, could have been better, but very good all the same, I would say. And Rey Mysterio is into the next round after the match. The two men, Rey Mysterio walks over, reaches out his hand for Kalisto, and Kalisto accepts the handshake. The two men shake hands and embrace, Mysterio raising his hand. A little bit of a rub for Kalisto from the legendary luchador for 71. And then Kalisto exits the ring to leave Mysterio to celebrate, to soak in the cheers from the crowd. But then out comes Finn Balor for an 80. Finn Balor on the stage, looking down to the ring. A little unimpressed, perhaps, as he does his little gun point from the ramp down to Rey Mysterio in the ring. A sign from Finn Balor that You might be Rey Mysterio, you might have all these accomplishments, but I am coming for the Cruiserweight title and you are not getting in my way. To end the show here, overall, for 70, lost popularity in 19 regions, but I'm happy. 70, that's the highest NXT rating we've had so far here, post WrestleMania, so I will definitely be taking that, as the second Cruiserweight semi-final has been set. Rey Mysterio versus Finn Balor next week. Good show. I'm happy with that. And hopefully we can get a good end to the week here next as we go into Smackdown Live. And here we are for Friday night Smackdown. We start with the contract signing between Big E and Roman Reigns. Big E a little bit bandaged up still from the attack last week by the Bloodline. But both men, they go back and forth verbally for a bit before both signing the contract and getting up for the stare down when Roman and Big E kind of get into a bit of a pushing contest. Big E punching Roman in the face and Roman getting up looking like he's going to hit a Superman punch or a spear when Jacob Fatu appears out of nowhere, turns Big E and Samoan drops him through the table as Roman looks on laughing before he bends down, grabs the Universal Championship and raises it above his head for a 95. What a segment that is. This is exactly what we hope it is, isn't it? Hopefully Big E and Roman Reigns is going to do really well at Backlash. If this is anything to go off, it will. And then next up, the Universal Women's Championship Tournament semi-final, the first one, Carmella versus Rhea Ripley. And it's Rhea Ripley who gets the win to advance into the final of the Universal Women's Championship Tournament with the Riptide 47 segment rating. Ripley with the 48, Carmella with 89. Ripley doing very well there, and she gets into the final, and she has a chance to very quickly, within a month of debuting, win her first main roster, so I suppose, but I'm treating the NXT as the main roster now, but to become the inaugural Women's Universal Champion here. And then after, we go backstage, and Kayla Braxton is interviewing the Dirty Dogs, Dolph and Robert Roode, and they seem quite cocky and arrogant at the moment. They got the tag match later against Mark Quinn and Rich Swann, and they say to Kayla, we'd love to tell you we have a bit of a surprise for later tonight, you know. Montez Ford, his guys, they're so cocky, they're so arrogant, they're so full of themselves, they think they can just come onto our brand and do whatever the hell they want. But we know how to take them down a peg, and tonight we're going to do just that. 57, very good. And then next up, the $1 Million Championship Tournament, Mandy Rose versus what originally was going to be Lana, but for some reason she's only set as a manager in the model I'm using, so it won't be. I'm instead calling up Toni Storm, which, as far as replacements go, it is pretty good, I suppose. And Toni Storm getting a win with the Storm 0, 42 segment rate, and Toni Storm with the 40, Mandy Rose 37. Toni Storm advancing in the $1 Million Championship Tournament. Very good for her, very happy for her. Big fan of Toni Storm. Wasn't expecting her to be using her so soon, but I'm not going to complain, I don't think. Good debut for her. Mandy Rose not happy at exiting the Universal and now the $1 Million tournaments. Then we go backstage, Kayla Braxton, this time interviewing the Hardy Boys. Jeff saying, you know, he wasn't expecting Matt to come back, but he's happy he was. He's happy he was there to stop the Bloodline attacking him last week. And he says he's looking forward to tagging with his brother once again tonight against the Bloodline. Hopes to get some revenge. Matt says being back in WWE, being back with Jeff is just wonderful. And he's looking forward to helping Jeff get some revenge on the Usos tonight for the 60. Then we have first tag team match of the night. The Dirty Dogs versus Mark Quinn and Rich Swann with Montez Ford at ringside. And Swann and Quinn holding their own, really, making the Dirty Dogs a bit more fight, just like Montez Ford has the last few weeks than they expected. When suddenly a hooded man starts attacking Montez Ford on the outside, distracting Swann and Quinn. and Ford kind of knocks back the hood, and it is revealed. You can see it. It is James Storm. Of course, Robert Roode's former tag team partner over in Impact is signed for WWE, attacking Montez Ford here, and the Dirty Dogs take advantage of the distraction, allowing Robert Roode to hit Mark Webb with the glorious DDT for the win, the 62 here, and the Dirty Dogs pick up the victory. And then Swan gets in the ring, and he's met with a super kick from Ziggler into the DDT from Roode, and they kind of kick them both out of the ring, while Swan drags Montez Ford to the ring and throws him in, allowing Dolph Ziggler to hit a super kick, and then Roode and Storm to hit their tag team finisher from TNA, the IW, I think, or the DWI. Either way, 68. Storm, I couldn't put him in here because his contract doesn't start for 4 days, but I wanted him to make the start here, and he will make his proper debut next week. Next, we have the next match in the $1 Million Championship Tournament, Lacey Evans versus Ruby Riott, and Ruby Riott picks up the win here with the Riott kick to advance to the semi-final, where it will be Ruby Riott versus Liv Morgan, former partners colliding here. 39 for the match. No, I'm happy with that actually. Lacey Evans 32, 43 for Ruby Riott. It's on the high end in the middle between them two, so I'm pleased with that. Ruby Riott advancing. And then next up we have a backstage segment. MVP kind of ready to go through the curtain with Bobby Lashley. A camera approaches with Kayla Braxton, and he just says no, and he just takes the mic from her, and he just starts to talk. He talks about Big Show, how Big Show, back in the day, he was a big deal, but he's not anymore. The big deal around here is Bobby Lashley is the Almighty. And he says tonight Bobby Lashley takes out Big Show once and for all. He deals with him, he puts him away, and then the Almighty Bobby Lashley moves on to bigger and better things where he belongs, at the very, very, very top of the WWE for 64. And then the match, 54, Bobby Lashley getting the win with the spear. 54 for Bobby Lashley, 47 for Big Show, 54 for the match. Very happy. Big Show off his game, sadly, so it could have been better, but Bobby Lashley taking out the Big Show like he promised, and then after the match, really taking him out, putting him into the Hurt Lock. Big Show kind of going a bit out cold for the 62, as Lashley just drops him in the end, and put him and MVP posing over Big Show's unconscious body. Bobby Lashley getting the big win, coming out on top here in the feud with the Big Show. And then afterwards, an interview by Big E, coming out of the medics room by Kayla Braxton. And Big E, a bit more badged up, and he's not happy. He says he's spoken to Paige. Next week he has a match with Jacob Fatu, and he's going to kick his ass. And then at Backlash he's going to kick Romans too, and retain the Universal title for 59. Match next, Bianca Belair, Peyton Royce, and Bianca Belair gets the win with the KOD. 47-50 in ring for Bianca, very good. Afterwards, Bianca and Rhea stare down for a 67 before being attacked by Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville for the 52. Mandy and Sonya eliminated by Rhea and Bianca, not happy. And then the Hardy Boys and the Bloodline have a promo video playing for the 57 before their match, which I guess a 66. Very happy with that. Matt with the 48, Jeff with the 72. Matt a bit disappointing perhaps, but a 66 overall. The Hardys getting the win. After the match, the Usos leave. I put Matt Bloom, I met Matt Hardy. And Jeff Hardy grabs the mic and he announces that he's spoken to Paige. And next week in the main event, Jey Uso, Jeff Hardy, 1v1, Steel Cage for the 63. And that is a 73 Smackdown. Very good. And that is it for week 3. A lot to look forward to next week. Cruiserweight semi-finals, $1 Million semi-finals, tag match, Rhea and Bianca versus Mandy and Sonya. Jeff versus Jay, Steel Cage. Ford, Quen and Swan versus the Dirty Dogs with Storm now. And a lot more, so please like and subscribe for more, and thank you for watching.